Welcome back to another grad interview. We have somebody really special that we're going to be talking to tonight with such a unique story. And she made back her investment on day one. And that's not just the only unique part of her story. And so I want to introduce Erin to you. She's one of our grads, which is why she's here. And she just has a really cool story about how Pretty Focused has impacted her life. So, Erin, why don't you start by telling us when you joined Pretty Focused?
Yeah, I joined Pretty Focused in March of 2020. Oh gosh, was it 2022? I don't even know.
That was last year. No, it had to have been early.
No, 2021.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'm getting
that
sounds right.
All mixed up. I'm off to a great start already.
No.
Yeah, March of 2021.
Okay.
Was when I started. Yeah.
Okay. And when did you graduate?
I graduated the first couple of days into July. I think it was like the 6th or 7th, something around there. First part of July.
So from March to July. You were pretty quick. So a lot of times we say average 3 to 6 months. Sometimes we have 10, like the Angelina we talked to last week was 10 months because she's a senior. Did you know she's a senior in high school?
That's amazing.
Can you believe that? It was amazing.
She was
when she did.
Yeah, she was. Yeah.
Pretty Focused course, and seeing her announcement there in the group initially, I was blown away.
Yeah, she's so cool. So we have like the 10 months, and then so you were
4 months.
What is that? 4 months?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. 3.5 months.
So
it was the end of March. So
okay.
So let's pack that out because I want to know your background and how you went through the course, like the time commitment and how you did it.
So my background is in the food and beverage industry. That's kind of where I built my career, and had zero. Well, up until a year prior to Pretty Focused, had zero photography experience whatsoever. So I have my whole story is a bit of a COVID story, as we all have them. Was overseeing the U.S. division of a Canadian-based restaurant group, and when COVID hit, all of the field positions in the U.S. were eliminated, mine being one of them, and my whole team and everybody. And so I had to pivot. And as you can probably remember back with COVID, a lot of uncertainty, a lot of staying at home, along with thousands of others, started a food blog and thought, I can make this happen. I will make this happen.
And then you were like, oh my gosh, what have I gotten myself into?
I knew it was a long growth process. Had never blogged before, had food experience, like I said, but no photography, no anything. And started working on that. And come March of that next year, so almost a year later, we had to have that reality conversation of when I need to start bringing in income, and set that date for July. We can make it until July. And
July 2021, right?
2021.
Gosh.
And if I'm not generating income by then, I have to go back to work. And I didn't want that. Really didn't want that. I've always wanted to work for myself. I've always wanted to work from home. So I happened to see, I think it was kind of coincided with some ads that I saw on Instagram. And then Stephanie Deming, I had made connection with prior and saw her talking about Pretty Focused and started asking her questions and decided I was going to try it. And I needed to go through it fast. So I hadn't picked up a camera or owned a camera until right after I started my blog. So like almost a year prior. And I had that urgency that I needed to make this happen, and I needed to make it happen fast.
Okay. I'm digesting because
seriously.
I for some reason, because of Lindsay, I thought you were a professional photographer. I had this all wrong. And
not only am I not a professional photographer, I am not an artistic, creative type at all. I am very structured, black and white, by the book, give me the outlines, and not creative.
So what brought you to food blogging world? Is that background in food and beverage?
Background in food and beverage, always loved like cooking. I asked for a walk for my 13th birthday. Like, have always loved cooking and baking. And I don't want to derail too much from the photography, but we're in COVID with my kids home. I have now an 11 and 9-year-old. And so they weren't in school, obviously, and I wanted to make the most of that time. And a friend of mine suggested a project of making a food from every state in the U.S. as a way of doing like home ec and history and geography and all of that.
That's so fantastic.
I thought it was a genius idea. And I thought, why don't I blog about it? So I decided to do that. And then it kind of carried over into now I do like iconic state food, but also comfort food and that sort of thing.
Right.
And that's so neat. I love that idea.
How did you, like, is your photography, like, do you still have the blog?
I do, yes.
And so is your photography different now than when you had the blog before Pretty Focused?
Okay. Completely. Oh my goodness. I was just thinking about this earlier today, and one of my recipes that I did just a month before Pretty Focused was a Black Forest cupcake. And remembering back on those photos, I loved square plates. And so they were on square plates. And I had a square pot holder with hearts on it that was sitting on that. And then I had a bowl turned upside down with another square plate on top of it as kind of a platter. And the lighting was terrible. And the composition was just chaotic.
And were you like, yes,
I am not skilled at that. Yeah. Oh, my watch is talking. So I reshot those, thankfully, and they're one of my favorite sets of photos now.
Yay.
So it's ridiculous to look back. Yeah.
Has your traffic gone up as you've reshot the photos and created the content?
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot that I've learned over the course of the last 2 years. And so definitely my traffic has grown. I think part of that is just learning SEO and part of that is photography for sure. My traffic consistently from April this is interesting. From April of last year. So
22?
No, my years are all messed up. April of 2021, my traffic started quadrupling year over year and has been up until holiday time quadrupled, and then now 2 to 3 times year over year. And so I've gone from like last October, I was at like, this won't mean much to a lot of people, but like 17,000 to 150,000 monthly sessions. So a part of that for sure, I think is, I love seeing, so of course, all bloggers love seeing their recipes on their first page. But what I really love also is some recipes where I am a little bit further down the page, 8 or 9. But this just happened to me today. I was looking at one and my photograph was the very first. And so I was like, oh, Google knows that. Google can tell that that's a really good photo. And that's
so. I love it. Yes. And for anyone who doesn't blog, what she said is she went from not making money blogging to being able to qualify for any ad network she chooses is basically what happened there. So
that is amazing. That's amazing. Do you think that you well, okay, let me pivot and ask another question. So you joined and it was like 4 months and you were like, I have to do this in 4 months. Otherwise I have to figure something else out.
Right.
But when you joined, when you heard about it from Stephanie Deming and when you saw the ads, what made you think that this was okay, this is it. This is going to work alongside my blog. This is what I need to be doing right now?
When I first started my blog, I randomly got invited to some kind of a photography thing that
Okay.
got me interested in photography as a whole. And so I had
Okay.
kind of been just trying to figure it out. I won a mentorship with a photographer for a month and had some other cool experiences
Okay.
that helped me a little bit. But one of the things with that I found was a lot of them were more commercial or like magazine type of styling and not blogging, and also so artistic that, again, I'm not, that I felt very lost. And so two things with that I thought, this is something that I need to try. The first is just the system, the formula of photography that it was promising, of like, we can show you how to follow these steps and get this.
Yep. Yeah.
And then the other piece of it was knowing, like, hearing Stephanie talk about her stuff selling out every time she posted it, seeing her saying, I've got stuff going live, and going, oh, I know that what I'm trying to build right now is a long haul business. And even at that, it's a gamble. But I can put efforts towards something that I can get a paycheck now. And the only limitation, I remember graduating and realizing my only limitation right now with income is my time. Like, as much as I want to put into this or can put into this, I can get out of it. And so that opportunity to just to be in control of the amount of money that I'm making, and to have that almost guarantee of, if I create this, then I'm going to see something from it, was something that I really needed at that time.
Okay. That's amazing. So you graduated 4 months later, you're at your deadline, right? Of like okay,
right, here we go. And you're like,
here we go. So what happened when you graduated?
I posted did my portfolio, got that all approved and everything. And there were 4 recipes from my portfolio that I decided to sell. And I think it was pretty new at that time, the idea of selling.
Lindsay was the first one.
Lindsay did it.
Yeah.
And I was so lucky to have graduated right alongside her. We were actually accountability partners there in the end, trying to get our portfolios.
Love
and
that.
I think she's the one who said to me, why don't you sell some? I was like, oh, I didn't. Yeah. I was talking to her about, I'm only going to use a couple for my blog and whatever, sell some. And so I did. I had 4 of them that I decided to sell. And I posted, I was announced in the Buyers Club. And a couple of hours later, I posted my little advertisement linking to my Shopify thing. And within an hour, they were sold. And I mean, I was like shaking, excited, of like, that was so easy. Like, I wasn't even going to sell these.
Right.
I thought that I had a whole lot more work ahead of me, and I just made my money back in no time at all.
Crazy. So you had 4 exclusives. Mm-hmm. And do you mind saying what you sold them for?
I don't even remember.
So probably like around $275 back then? I think
around $275. And it was, I got in at a nice price with Pretty Focus as well. But yeah, so it was, I think I netted around like $1,300 from
the 4.
From,
and then it would be, then you made enough. So were you strategic in like, I think I can make this with these, and then I'm going to make some extra that then I can make up the rest, and then the course is paid for, right?
Yeah. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it was 5. I know 100% for sure that it was like a little bit over my total amount of the course. And so I don't remember numbers of those 2, but it was like an hour later that I had that paid. And then also, along with that, of my link to that site, I you know what? This might have been it. So along with that, I had my little advertisement of recreations as well. And I had that afternoon 3 people contact me for recreations and pay me that afternoon for recreations. That makes more sense. Now it's all coming back. It was a long time ago.
It was a long time ago.
Yeah, no, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I had those recreations as well right off the bat, and got to work.
And what does your business look like now? Because
Yeah.
you're balancing blogging with still content creation.
Before I share what it looks like now, I'll tell you that until April of last year, I was doing 6 to 8 exclusives a month. And then I was doing 8 to 12 recreations a month. And so I was working a lot in I had a certain amount that I needed to make each month. And that's the work that I had to do for it. And it was consistent and and fantastic. And I consistently sold out within minutes, and it sustained me for that time. In April is when I got accepted into Mediavine and allowed me to have a little bit more flexibility. And so now, and since April until now, it changes from month to month. I have 2 clients that I continue to work with doing recreations each month. And then some months, that's all I do. So January, February, that's all I did was my recreations. And then, as you know, with blogging, it's up and down with income. And so next month I'm doing a whole bunch of exclusives, and I've got that on my calendar to do exclusives as well. And so the thing that I love about my business today is that it can meet my needs and have that flexibility from month to month. When I need it to be really robust and bring me a lot of income, then I can have it do that. And when I need to lean into other things and have more flexibility and have more time away, then I don't have to do anything but my clients that I've already made those agreements with.
Wow.
I love it. Will you do semis? So, well, first we should say exclusives. So if anyone was around for the info session yesterday, when we say recreations, we mean a blogger is giving Erin a recipe that's probably been on their blog for a gazillion years and the photos are terrible. And she's just following the recipe and taking the photos. Whereas an exclusive is Erin is developing the recipe, photographing it, and selling the recipe and the photos. But semi-exclusives, to add another layer, are one recipe, similar tutorial shots, and then 2 sets of heroes. So a lot of people who have blogs and are working as content creators will keep one set of the semi for themselves and sell the other set. Do you have any plans, or is that not something you're interested in?
I have done some semi-exclusives, and I have had a couple of those where I've kept a copy of it, and that's been great. Going back to my strength of routine and structure, I love doing process shots. I'm weird, like they're boring. And I remember hearing so much in the course about the hero selling the recipe, but I struggle to get motivated to do a full, beautiful hero session. And so semis stress me out because it's more of the work. Like I like to have that balance of my sweet daughter is trying to ask me a question. The answer is no. And you need to know. My husband and my 11-year-old are off on a school camping trip. So
that's too fun.
Yeah.
But with regards to the semi-exclusives, I like to have that balance of something that I really enjoy, followed by something that, yes, I enjoy parts of it, but it's harder. It's more physically draining for me.
Right.
So I do some, but I prefer exclusives. And then I also do actually quite a bit of process only. So that was something, going back to the flexibility for building my business, with what I needed and what I wanted. A couple of months in, realized I really love process, and I get really excited for that part of it. And I thought, if I could only do just process, I would love it. But too bad nobody does that. And then I started thinking, but people, I mean,
Need it.
bloggers out there, they've got these recipes where they love their heroes
Yeah.
and they need process. So I thought after weeks of deliberation, I'm going to just ask. I'm just going to put it out there. And so I did. I put it in the Buyers Club. Hey, I do process only. Here's why I'm good at it. I've got a background in technical training. And so I love that step by step, gave some examples and got booked up. And so now my recurring clients, one of them does a mix of full recreation process. The other one's process only. I've had several others that I've done sets of like, I need these 8 done and work through that. And it's been fantastic that I get to do the part of the business that I really love. And I'm not handcuffed to, but this is the way that everybody does it.
Yeah. No, and there are a lot of food bloggers who have been like food blogging for a decade who love heroes. But now that, you know, we're tutorial based basically in food photography now, they hate process shots. Yeah. So you must be like a godsend.
I love that you are able to do that, because I feel like the people who do semis are the ones who like to be creative and they like to have more opportunities to kind of move to do whatever, you know. And then how cool is it that you were like, I love this. This is my greatest area that I know I am amazing at, and I'm going to offer this to clients, and you're able to add that service. And I just think it's so fun and unique, a unique thing about this industry and about, you know, about this industry, that you can really tailor it to really fit you.
Right.
And what you love to do. And so I think it's so
something that I wish that I would have really understood early on. And I think is so great for people who are considering something like this is, yes, the program, the training is very formula driven, right? You guys took all of the testing and all of the trial and error, figured out what works, and presented this package. But that doesn't mean that, and you'll see this, that our images are not all cookie cutter. Like there's other photography courses out there where their images they look exactly alike. And there's certain styles that we can all adopt, but there's also within our business different things that we can do to make the business what works for us. There's, you know, even little things like whether you get paid before, or you get paid after, or you have a 1 week turnaround, or you have a 30-day turnaround, like all of those different elements of your business that you get to decide. And it's not, it's just what works for you and what you enjoy and what makes you happy and what utilizes your skills.
Yeah. And we'll talk to some grads and they'll have multiple arrangements, right? Like it doesn't, so one client pays them monthly and another one pays them weekly, like whatever they decide works for them, which is great too.
You're able, I love Lindsay just put this in the comments. I love that she said, you're able to customize your career. Absolutely. You know, Ivy says, create your own adventure. Lindsay says, customize your career. You know, and that's exactly what you're able to do, is customize your career. So that's really neat. Lenore, I know, is going to be sharing the link to your blog. There were some people asking about your blog, State of Dinner. So Lenore is going to share that in the comments with everybody. So that's really awesome to see that. And but so you are now doing business side by side, and you're able to fill in those gaps. So let's talk about how, because you went from restaurant industry, in-house restaurant industry, which is fast-paced, which is long hours, right? I mean, from what I see, the only thing I know about restaurants is from eating at them. You know, but I know those are stressful environments. So you've gone from this to this. Can you describe or explain the differences between your life then and your life now?
So I kind of fortunately was not working in the restaurants. I
Okay.
oversaw the people who oversaw the restaurants.
Oh,
So
so you're a little bit higher. Okay.
I was like developing and coaching and teaching, but
Okay.
I was traveling. So I
Mm.
had the US. And my husband was traveling also because he is regional director for restaurants, restaurant group as well. And so we had a deal where 1 week I would travel, the next week he would travel, and I would be
Oh.
gone usually 3 days a week, and then come back, and we'd switch off. And excuse me. So that I had to be really intentional with scheduling, but still missed stuff with my kids. My son plays football. He has since he was like 4 years old. And so missing games or, different events and things. I remember actually I had training in Canada and some meetings over my daughter's 7th birthday. And so, I mean, chaos was my life before. And now, my husband still travels, but I don't. And I pick up my kids every single day from school and have afternoons with them. My work now, my day starts, work day starts at 9. I am follow usually most days my morning is blog where I am writing or working on photos for the blog. Then afternoon is photography for clients and things if I'm or doing marketing and that kind of stuff. So I kind of trade off with those. And then once 3:30 rolls around, go pick up the kids and then start to kind of wind it down. I sneak it up a lot of times, work into the dinner hour as well, kind of juggling some different things. But that is, 6-7 hours that I'm working each day, and I'm able to do it around all of their schedules. And so taking them to piano and soccer practice and football and being at those different events and things. I'm on the PTA now, and I never was before.
Wow.
My dream growing up was always to be a mom. And so to have that and then miss half of their life was a challenge. But,
Wow.
to be honest, too, the downside of that, I'm not yet replacing my old income. And so we don't have all of the things that we used to have. And I got a 2014 car with over 100,000 miles on it that I really want to replace. And I've got gross carpet that is old and to be replaced. But looking at the things that are important to me, I would not, I never want to go back to working for anyone but myself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. I think those are conversations that I think we have to remind ourselves of, like, hey, like, we might be looking for the future, but I don't want to miss what's happening right now. And for you, that's being there for your 9 and your 11-year-old and doing the piano runs and being, picking them up from school. Like, did you ever think whenever you were working in the restaurant industry that was even possible and this was just going to be life?
No,
This was
that's
just going to
not.
be.
No, that is not at all what a normal life is. And I grew up with a very homemaker mom. And so my idea also, I had this dream of being home and making cookies for my kids when they come home from school, and how amazing they would think that I was as a mom. And now that's kind of like, well, who cares? Like, cookies again? Because we do that.
No, Red Forest cupcakes too, apparently, or Black Forest, not Red Forest. I don't know what state that would be from, Black Forest. But Stephanie and I were talking about this. It's an ongoing conversation in our house, but she and I were talking about this today, of what we get to do and what we are able to do because of this online space and this online part of the world that we're able to work in, that we don't remember the stress of having to ask for time off for vacations or when the kids were sick,
Oh,
you know, and
when
so
the kids were sick, that I get so frustrated now when my kids get sick because I'm like, oh, that means I'm not going to get as much work done. And then I have to remind myself, but I don't have to ask anybody. Like I just get to be home with them. And they can be sick and it doesn't, there's nobody that I have to feel bad about.
I know.
Talking to.
Yeah.
I know when I went back to work and Sam was a baby, the first 3 weeks he was in daycare, he was just sick the whole time. My husband was a non-factor because his work wouldn't allow him time off for sick kids.
Yeah.
I know he's a man. I have no idea. So it was all on me. And I'm like, I'm going to have to quit my job. Like I was so stressed out with him being sick all the time. Yeah. And now I think like if all of this went away, like the blog, like, you know, just went poof, I would sell it all and live in a hovel before I go back to that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is absolutely amazing. So, so you had some experience with photography. You were you had the mentorship with another photographer who was more commercial. What are some differences? Because we get people popping up into our emails and messages and they want access to the Buyers Club only because they got a photography experience. And then we also have people saying, is like, I'm a novice. Can you teach me? So can you hit on maybe those two polars? Like, you know, like will Pretty Focus teach to both of those?
Yeah.
And what is something like, how is Pretty Focus different than those other photography courses that maybe you went through?
So I was finishing up my mentorship when I started Pretty Focused. And I remember talking about learning the triangle and telling, I don't know if I should say this. I'm going to say it anyway because telling her
Melody's dying.
Great, but I'm worried that they're like dumbing down my photography because like everything has to be in this triangle, and you're trying to teach me all of these different styles and all of these different designs.
Sure, right.
And they just want me to do this triangle, and if I don't do the triangle, then they tell me I need to go back and find the triangle. Now, of course, having learned through the whole thing, and I see that the process or that rule of the triangle, where it can be broken and where it can't, and all of that, and the reason and the benefit of that for keeping the focus on the food. But I look at the photos that I took before. Well, I won't get off on that tangent. I was terrible before. Really terrible. I needed the triangle. I needed that. I needed it to come down for me. But the point, my point in this is there's style that is something that creates a beautiful image. And there's style that focuses on one object of the main food. And I was trying to learn for my blog this more abstract style of beauty that wasn't delivering what I needed to sell my recipes as a blogger. And so to be able to have that highlight around this is what makes that photo, makes me want to actually go and get that recipe or makes that achievable for me. I look at photos now of people who really inspire me of food photographers, commercial food photographers. And now I look at that and go, that's a beautiful photo. And I can see that, like, I caught myself thinking that is my instant reaction. That's a very beautiful photo. But I'm not saying that's a very beautiful pie that I want to eat or I want to make.
Right. Let me stop what I'm doing, click over and get the ingredients list.
Yeah. So the other thing that that really helped me a lot in Pretty Focused to really hone in my photography was in learning what there's differences in aperture and what is needed for a food blog versus those other styles of photography. And so learning how to capture more of that food and what I need to be looking for and how I need to be styling or adjusting my settings in order to make that, like, it's more than just styling or more than just composition. It's all of those other components with my camera that make that photo that somebody wants to click on. So being able to learn those differences was really great too. And so I think I've talked with several people that I knew as photographers before they came over to Pretty Focused, and every one of them has said, "Oh, I learned so much from just how to." I'm using my camera completely different than I was using it before. So learning those tricks to use that camera, and that ties in with that second part of that question around the novice. Like I was maybe a month or two in to using anything but auto. So I was pretty new with photography, and I was shooting natural light. And I remember Lauren, one of my very first recipes that I submitted for feedback, and I put my camera settings on there, and every single one had completely different settings, like completely different. And I thought that was amazing. I'm looking at that image and I'm adjusting the settings to exactly what I want, and then taking that picture and then moving on to the next. And so through the course, I was able to learn exactly what those settings needed to be, how I needed to set it, like all of those details of my camera, and then how to utilize that natural light in a better way to produce the results that I needed. So it just walks through so clearly all of the fundamentals of how to use the camera. And I think it really does a fantastic job of being able to meet the needs of, no matter what your experience level is, there's stuff that you're going to learn that's going to be really valuable to you.
Yeah, that's so great. I know when we talk about composition and we're working on updating that portion of the course right now, where we'll talk about the triangle, but we're also going to talk about other ways and other, compositional techniques that you can add in that are still going to help keep the food the center. But I think composition, and the thing that frustrates me about composition, and when you go out and you learn it, the first thing that they tell you is composition is subjective. And it's all up to the person. And I'm thinking, like, as a teacher, okay, but we have analytical thinkers who are very literal. And then we've got the artistic ones. And then we've got we've got free spirits. Like, how in the world do we take something so subjective and be able to teach people in a way that they're able to grasp it? Right. And so I think starting with that triangle. So now we're starting with it like as a base, and then now we're going to start like building on around it. Because I think it's helpful whenever you're like, I don't know what to do. Where do I start? Well, start here. Like, this is where you can start. So how was it? How was it learning as somebody who's like very analytical?
Yeah.
And you're learning something so abstract. Was that hard?
Yeah, it was really hard. And that's where I really think that I needed that structure. I'm glad that you're expounding on that part of the course, but I think that part is so fundamental. And like, I don't think that I would have been able to build a successful career if I hadn't have been able to really latch onto that structure. Because when I was taught in a way that was artsy, my stuff was a mess. And so I needed, like, now I can look, and I went through the boot camp. What's it called? Work Smarter.
Oh, the Take Back Your Time. Yes. Oh, yes. Take Back Your Time.
Lynn did she's got some great stuff around her photos and some adaptions that she did. And I was able to take that and really, I've used that. So now not all of my stuff is triangle, and I've been able to use some of those things. But I think if I would have learned that first, I wouldn't have grasped it as well. Like, I wouldn't have been able to produce those. But now that I understand those fundamentals, and then I was able to have success with those fundamentals, then I'm able to layer on more things. I still am very limited in the variety. Like, I do variety, don't get me wrong. But my composition is very formulaic. And that's just what I need. And then adding in that creativity with, fill and that sort of thing. But I actually ended up really gravitating towards that. And it was able, it is what I think is able to make me successful, is because I didn't have to rely on something that I am really weak in. I was able to rely on something that I'm good at in understanding those formulas and then take it from there.
I am so glad that we talked to you about all of this tonight and to hear your perspective on this from somebody who is so analytical, because we really do try to hit all of these learning styles, and we know we have all of these people coming in, and we're getting people very quickly. Like again, this is something we talk about often, is like how people come in and they don't even know how to use the camera, and 6 months later they are working with clients, right? And so that's, I feel like that's rare. So I think how formulaic the content is and how strategic the coaching is and intentional, I think it really helps push people there. So
well, and I will say this, as far as what it does, I have sold lots of recipes through the exclusives, and I've worked with dozens of clients over the last almost 2 years with recreations. And I have never once had anyone complain about the work that I produced. And I've never had to do any reshoots.
That's so good.
I've never had anyone ask for a refund. And
That's
I'm
so
not
great.
artistic. And so I just think that if I can figure it out in that way and produce consistent results, then it definitely speaks to the value of the course.
I love that. I love it. And I'm looking at you're right, Lauren said you early. I'm looking through some of your blog now. So
some of that stuff on that homepage is old. So if it looks bad, just know that it's old.
Are definitely a food blogger, because every single one of us will go when someone's like, I'm on your blog. Oh, don't go to that.
Only look at the new stuff.
It's so great.
Yeah,
it's so great, Erin.
I was snooping on your blog too. And I think the thing is, like you say, you're not artistic, but there is an art to what you're doing. And you are putting the food as the focus and understanding that, like, the food and the fork don't have equal weighting in the picture. You know, like it's just about people want to eat food that looks yummy. And
well, I thank you, Stephanie. And I'll just have to say then, if there's any artistic in me, you unlocked it. So
well, that
was I love that. I mean, just look, I think that, I mean, I'm looking at your strawberry pretzel salad, and I see your definite triangle, but what I see context, because you've got your plate with your bite, you've got a second plate there, and you have the pan in the corner. And this seems, if you are taking like these advanced compositional courses, and I've seen them, I've gone through them to see how this compares. And there is something that is so relatable to this that I see as a consumer, as a reader. And that's one thing that we have to keep in mind.
Oh my gosh.
As what? What'd you do? Oh, she got scared.
I had my computer start, like Erin's watch. My computer just started. I'm so sorry, Melody.
No, Stephanie almost died. No, I think that you have to work. I don't even know what I was saying, but like, it's so, oh no, you have to understand the reader, right? And you have to understand who it is that's coming to view and coming to the blog, that these are people looking to make these recipes. They're not people looking to print photos for their walls. Right. And so, it's so important that it's relatable to people, and they, this is just what we would see. I served my son's birthday cake very similar to this yesterday. Do you know what I mean? And so it's not basic as people would think. It's very strategic, and it's done on purpose for a reason. Plus, we're doing, how many recipes are you doing a month or a week that you need quick, right? how do you really need to reinvent the wheel for every single photo?
Right.
No, you can't. You don't have the time for that.
Oh, you're muted.
Oh, she's muted.
Oh my God.
Oh, Stephanie.
My heart is pitter pattering. I was going to say readers don't need that either, because they're essentially going to one post. They're never going to remember that you styled another post the same way.
Right.
They just want the ingredients.
Yeah.
So I'm going to share one of Erin's pictures, because
I love your Cadbury cookies.
when we say basic, there is absolutely nothing basic about this photo.
No.
This is food blog perfection right here, Erin. So
Thank
I want, when you're being all humble, I want you to give a round of applause to
I mean, that though is exactly what I learned through this course. And that's stuff that I never, like, I was able to see. That's another thing. All of the like printouts and things of the, I don't know what's still in the course and what's not, but like all of the examples of photos that you can print out, and like the hero guide and planning session and everything. That is what created this, is being able to say, okay, these are the photos that I need to get. And I just check and check and check, like literally check box these photos and produce things like this. I am a perfectionist. That might have come out with me being, well, like I'm not artsy, but it takes me forever to do photos. But like I saw something that was like this in one of those planning sessions, and it's like, oh, okay, let me do that for my cookies. So
tell us about, like, how do you, like, what's your work process to get to something like that?
Oh. Do you really want me to talk about my work process?
I kind of do. Now you got me curious.
No, it's long. Like I have long shoots. I'm no Teelan, but
do you think you overanalyze?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So my work process, I will, once I have the recipe and review it and everything, I will go in to Google and look at other photos and screen capture the ones that I love, and then figure out what kind of my flow is going to be. And then when it's time to do it, so I usually will draw it out, or I don't know, or just write it on the pictures, what I'm going to do differently for that photo. And then I go and shoot it, and I start with my overheads and then go to my side. And then, so I'm hesitant here is around my workflow and my process, because I'm really trying to utilize some of the tips that Teelan shared in her Not Harder. And so I'm trying
to do watching. It's okay.
Well, I'm trying to do more handheld, but that just means that I have to take a billion shots because I'm not good at it yet. And then, I everything imports automatically to Lightroom. I look at it, analyze it, decide what's terrible about it, take another photo, do that 20 or 30 times, and then I have my photos. So, and I try to do, it depends on the recipe, but I try to, for my recreation clients, and for my exclusives, I try to do at least 3 different styles. And so I'll go that top 45 side for each of those. And then at least 15 actual photos that I like to give them, because I like to give them options. So somewhere between 15 to 25 heroes. But then for my blog, if I'm just doing that, I try to get 4 to 5.
Right. Because you're like, I know what I want to put in my blog. What needs to be a pin, recipe card. Done.
I need enough for some web stories to have something in the background, and then I'm good.
Yeah. Okay. I love it.
Yeah. That's so great.
You would think that being so, I am very systems driven, that I would have been able to just spit out for you my workflow there. But
it's too.
I keep trying to do. Right? I keep trying to shorten it and get it more efficient.
Yeah.
And I think when it's yours, right, you could probably look at anyone else and be like, you need to do this, 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 and that. Right.
Yeah. I love these, Erin. How many recipes then are you doing a week?
It depends on the week. So I am, most weeks I schedule 8, but I don't actually get 8 done. So yeah, it depends on the week. 3 is usually my minimum, somewhere between 3 and 8.
Okay.
Probably more often than not 3 to 5 a week.
And I was
Okay.
like, when you were like a full-time content creator, it was like 14 to 20 a month. That seemed to be.
Yeah, when I was full-time, it was 20-ish a month.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because right now, so for I'm not sure who asked that question. I don't know if you were watching from the beginning. So right now, she's working on her blog. So this is why Erin is so unique, because she's on both sides of this right now,
Yeah.
and so she's taking what she's learned in Pretty Focused and has helped grow her blog. And so she right now you're doing both of those things.
Yeah,
Where
and that
you're
3 to 8 a week includes my blog. So I am doing
okay.
on months where I don't need to sell exclusives, I'm doing 6 recipes
Mhm.
that month, and then months where I do need to sell exclusives, it'll change. Like next month, I'm doing an additional 6.
Yeah. I love that, because we have had bloggers join Pretty Focused as they are growing their blog, and they're like, I need to start, I need income coming in right now, but like blogging is for the long haul.
Yeah.
And so you have to have income coming in. And so a lot of bloggers will join to do that, and then they find out that they love the photography part and they don't like the writing part, and then they just kind of stick with
Yeah,
this.
we have the opposite happen where they're like, bye-bye blog.
Yeah.
And then if anyone's watched the interview we did with Rebecca and Jen, so they started a blog together, and they went from like shooting a gazillion recipes a week each for clients to shooting just for their blog to now hiring Pretty Focused photographers to work for them.
The dream.
Yeah, it's so neat. I love that. I love like our little ecosystem here. So you mentioned something earlier, and this is a listener question. Does the Pretty Focus course go through setting up a Shopify site?
And so I don't think, unless you've added anything, because the thing about the Pretty Focused course is that it's about creating your business. And so you can have a Shopify site, you can sell only through the Buyers Club, you can do whatever. So I didn't learn that from the Pretty Focused course, but I did learn that from Pretty Focused grads. So other grads who are selling through Shopify, I reached out to them and they helped me with getting that set up.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was going to say that was probably around the time that Selling Exclusives was coming out.
Yeah. And we have now, so for anyone who joins and pays in full, they get a choice of one of 2 master classes. And if you choose the Selling Exclusives masterclass, that includes a component of creating your own Shopify store. So it's included if you pay in full, and that's the one you choose. So really good deal.
Yeah.
That is a good
super good deal. So we had somebody, I told you I was going to ask this question before we went live. Somebody asked us last night, and you really are the perfect person to answer this, is what are the pros and cons of the Buyers Club when compared to like commercial photography?
Yeah.
Right? They want to know, why would I want to choose to be a food photographer for food bloggers over maybe restaurants or commercial or any editor? I don't even know. All of that would go over there. What are the pros and cons, do you think?
Well, first I'll say that I don't think that it has to be an either or. Like you can be a Pretty Focused photographer selling through the Buyers Club and do restaurant photography or other kind of commercial photography. So I know that there are several people who do that, and this is just adding into that portfolio. But some of the pros for the Buyers Club, I would say, is first off, the type of work. So the type of photos. It is fun to create and develop or shoot those recipes and eat them with my family is very practical. And so to be able to enjoy that and shoot it on my schedule in my home is one of the reasons why I do this instead of commercial. Having that buyers club right there is another. So I remember one of the things early on that really sold me on the course was once I graduated, I wouldn't have to then go and sell myself through cold calling or sitting out proposals or anything like that. I don't have to go knock on restaurant doors to get my client base. It is there waiting for me, and I just have to create the recipes and sell them. So that was my biggest pro. I would say I'm trying to think about cons, and one of the cons is probably the dollar amount. So bloggers don't pay what large corporations pay.
Well, it's small business to small business, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So they pay well. Like I like for the hourly work that I do. For the work that I do, the hourly rate is good and it meets my needs and more than meets my needs. And but I'm not making $2,000 to shoot 3 images. That said, I'm also not spending 3 hours to get one of those images. And so it's a different type of work that is required. That's a little bit of it.
Yeah. And I think if you say like $2,000 for a couple of images, like who wouldn't want that? But that work is not necessarily, not going to get 5 of those in one day, right? Like those are typically far between, and you're subsiding on that one paycheck until the next client comes along, right?
Right. And as far as the exclusives part, so developing and selling your own recipes, one of the things that I love about that is the control that I have over it. So commercial, you may be going back and forth with that company several times to get exactly how they want or that shade that they want. And I get to create a recipe and say, this is how I wanted to do this recipe.
Yeah. I think Amy had mentioned that, right? So Amy who's in our course used to be
Amy Treasure.
Yeah, she used to be like a commercial food photographer and it was like on the phone with the client all day long, move this, move that, and then they'd have specific requirements. Like you can only use 1 tablespoon of sauce, but then it needs to look decadent. They don't want to be unhealthy, but they want it to look decadent. So like you're still in a box. So like it's pros and cons, right?
Yeah,
for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. And they would have her go through these and reshoot these Nutella pancakes. She used to talk about like a Nutella pancake and it needed to look delicious, but only a tablespoon because how dare we make it look unhealthy?
Right.
Well, I mean, I think if you're a corporation that does.
Yeah. It does. Right. They have all of these
legal.
Like I've got a book that talks about, like, I opened it up. I was like, ooh, ice cream section. And the way they started out the ice cream section was with legal disclaimers. Like you have to know the contract and what all these rules around how fake ice cream is supposed to look and what you can and cannot do. So yeah, it's just a very, very different world, I would say.
Yep.
So you guys, as we're getting ready to wrap up here with Erin, I want you to go ahead and just ask any questions that you have of her. But Erin, I want to know, what is Pretty Focused?
Pretty Focused is a photography course that guides anybody step by step through how to not only develop or shoot great photos, but also build an awesome business. It's also a community. The best part of Pretty Focused is the Facebook group, where not only do you get personal coaching that is specific, it's not canned responses. It is specific to your strengths and your opportunities and your photos to help you grow, but also the relationships that you build with others who are going through the course too, and cheering each other on and helping each other grow and learning from each other. And so that community is really such a gift.
Oh my
Well, I
gosh,
mean, just look at
love
you
it.
and I mean, look at you and Lindsay. Like you came in, and we see this all every time
Yeah.
that people come in and they find a buddy, and they just create such a strong friendship as they're going through Pretty Focused, and they're able to like, I thought you guys were best friends in real life, is how she talks about you. I thought you were best friends at, like, I didn't know that you was like, when she first started,
I mean, we are
when you
best friends in
first,
real life now,
Right.
but
well, no, yeah. But like prior to Pretty Focus, like to me, I just in my mind and vision was just like you and Lindsay together were like, let's join Pretty Focus together. And that's not the case at all. So people are so surprised when they come into Pretty Focus thinking that they're going to get one thing out of it, and they get so much more.
I'm sure when you saw an Instagram ad, you weren't thinking you were going to be 2 years from then saying, oh, the best part's the community.
right?
Right.
Oh,
That's an ad for my new best friend. Look at that, It's amazing. It's wonderful. What would you say to somebody who is thinking about joining Pretty Focused?
I would say that if you think that this is something that is appealing to you, whether you want this for forever or not, like if you're thinking about, I would like to try my hand at making an income of this, there's absolutely no reason not to. I don't know anywhere that you can pretty much be guaranteed if you do the work, you're going to get your money back, like guaranteed.
Right.
There's such little. Now, it is hard work to get through the course. There's a lot of homework, but if you're wanting to grow and build your skills, like you want that. You want somebody who is going to be telling you the things that you need to work on to get better. And they're so kind and supportive as they do it. So yeah, it's a lot as far as, submitting her feedback and everything. But you do that, and then you come out of it with a business. There's such little risk. There's no risk there. As long as you're willing to do the work, it's going to happen.
I will also say this is not a guarantee.
PFD. Hey, she said it, not us.
Yeah. PFD, Pretty Focus disclaimer.
Yeah.
But
I mean, it feels that way, but we can't say that.
But I really, like I echo, like we put everything in we can possibly think of to try to make people successful in the end, is what I will say. Definitely. Yeah. And I love that you're saying it doesn't have to be an either or. Like if you want to do commercial photography and food blog photography, like you can do both. Like that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Too.
Yeah. That's, I mean, absolutely. So I think that's great. So
we have one last question.
One last question, yes, is what would you have done differently looking back?
The thing that I would have done differently was actually before I graduated, when I was going through the course, not taking the feedback personally and just taking it for what it is to help me grow. I dreaded every single time I put something up there, and then argued in my head about, well, they just don't. But now looking back, I've gone back through some of my early things and seen what the coaches would say. And I'm like, of course, they're so right. And I'm so glad that they pointed that out to me. That I can't believe, whatever. Like one of the things was that I mentioned was Lauren telling me that I needed to leave my shutter or my settings consistent for the same kind of shot. Well, I'm so glad she did that, because can you imagine? I'm a slow shooter now. It would have taken me a week to do a recipe. So just taking that feedback as what it is and not taking it as I am terrible and I'm never going to succeed at this, believing in myself more as I went through the process. And knowing that like I had a sense of urgency. I had something that I had to do. But like knowing that if I just followed the process, it would all happen, instead of stressing so much early on about just completing the course. I've got to just get through it as fast as I can.
Right.
So
Yeah.
Because knowing what's waiting for you at the end,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. Now, okay.
Was there any part of you that you were like, this better work?
Oh yeah, so much. So much. Because I didn't know, like you talk about the Buyers Club, and everybody talks about, oh, it's so great. They just buy all the stuff. But I hadn't seen it. I had no idea what it was. And is it really like, am I really going to be, I had no idea going through this if I was really going to be able to make enough money to not have to go back to work. And so there was so much stress in those first few months of just, this has to work. And I have to push through and do this.
No, I love that. If it, like, just for us to understand on the other side about real people with real pressures going through this is important for us to understand too. No, those are great words. And someone said, thank you for sharing your vulnerability. And I would actually echo that very much.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, no, we love these. This is exactly what we want these grad interviews to be, is people sharing real experiences and their real story. So like Stephanie said, it just helps us understand our grads. And I think it helps us. As we're like developing updates, and as we have so many things coming down the pipeline. It helps us to keep all of that on the forefront.
I know these are helpful for us, really, because I think like I refer to them when I'm like, no, this is working. We should be changing that because we've heard enough people say it, right?
Yeah,
I'm like
exactly.
thinking now when you're like taking the coaching personally, you're the third person I've heard say that. I'm like, oh, what do we need to do to make people feel more comfortable that this is like not personal, you know? Like it's piquing my little brain,
and I mean, part of that I think is just the nature of the beast, right? Like you're giving feedback, but
you are putting yourself out there,
in
a controlled environment, but still out there, and
you said you would have believed in yourself more. Did you ever like believe in yourself less believe in yourself less as you went through, or did you?
I don't remember. I remember not knowing if I was going to pass my portfolio. I do know that. I remember being really, really freaked out about that and not knowing if I was good enough. I think that, not to, toot my friend's horn too much, but I think that the addition of Lindsay's been really fantastic with that. I was really happy to hear that change was happening. It seems like a very supportive and nurturing process now. But I remember that part being very panicky. But
yes. And so I want to say two things. There is no pass or fail. So everyone is, because we just work with you until you're ready, right? Like it's not like I like to compare us to Harvard every time I'm like a school. I'm like, well, we're picking Harvard. It's not like Harvard where you do your math exam and you fail and then you have to start at the beginning again. We will just work with you. So if anyone's thinking that, but when you're at that point, this is how you feel. It's like, oh my gosh, am I going to pass? Right? Like, And then the other one I wanted to say about not knowing the Buyers Club, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, Erin, but I have come to believe that the number one thing you can do to stand out in the Buyers Club is have the absolute best portfolio that you can have. And then people will just flock to you because your portfolio is so strong. And then second to that is keeping clients, and then being able to charge your worth is to be able to replicate that. And so your work is as good as or better than what's in your portfolio would be long-term success.
I agree with that. That reminds me, though, I need to go update my portfolio.
But the
other thing that I think I would just say, as far as being able to charge your worth, is largely due to quality. But another thing that I think is communication with your clients. And so I think that's something that really going into building this business with that understanding that asking a lot of questions, giving a lot of feedback, really being open and in partnership with your clients helps build that relationship then where you do, if you're doing recreations, you've got, if you're communicating well and you're delivering good work, you're going to succeed.
Yeah. We're always like, if you can enmesh yourself in that blogger's business, they will do anything to keep you, right? Like,
yes, that's exactly right.
Yeah.
I
love it. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. We're done.
Well, hopefully after you, like you said, you saw you'd go back and look at your photos and be like, oh yeah, no, they're totally right. Hopefully you saw that like there is a reason and there is a purpose as to why it is the way that it is. Yes. And it's actually to help you.
Yes. And I hope, so these things that I was feeling back then and sharing with you around the feedback or sharing around the triangle and things like that at that time I didn't understand. I want to be very clear that I think all of that is gold. And like looking back, I get it completely. Right. And I'm so glad for it. So it's not anything that I'm like, oh, except for.
No. I never felt that. But also I think it's interesting because it's not just you. And I think it is that vulnerability. And maybe like as women, we're too hard on ourselves as a whole, right? Where we're like, because I'm sure if my husband was doing this and he put up photos and then someone said, whatever, you lost your triangle, he'd be like, okay, I'll go fix my triangle. Yeah. Whereas I mean, I suck. So it's personality. Yeah. And I swear, everyone, every student, every coach, Melody and I were all like these big, like empathetic people, right? Even now, the three of us are like trying to make each other feel better.
Yeah. Really do care about people. And so that is for sure. So Erin, thank you so much for being on with us tonight.
Yes, I love it. Thank you.
This was so fantastic. Congratulations on your blog and the growth that you have seen over the last couple of years with it. I mean, this is still new. And in blogging in blogging terms. And so how amazing is that you've been able to grow
done so something so many people who start blogs can't. So that is just amazing. So I'm really proud. I'm really proud of you about that too.
Yes. You're incredible. You're an inspiration. So proud of you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing this with us. So thank you guys for joining us and asking so many wonderful questions and just being here and being present, just listening to Erin's story. It was very inspiring, and I know you all will agree with that. So thank you so much for being here, and we'll see you guys later. Don't forget, I will say course closes on Sunday. So we have, I think
5 or 6 spots left. I can't remember.
So there we go. So make sure that we'll put those links down in the comments for you guys to join, but we'll see you later.